Hello, thank you for joining in. So, today we are going to learn about different ways in which we could sum a variable by a group. So, let's begin. There are various ways in which we could sum a variable by a group. What I mean by that, let me take an example. So, this is our empty cast dataset. Let's say if we want to sum mpg column for each value of cylinder, that is cyl here. So how can we do that? In this video, I'll cover three main techniques, which are using base R, the second one would be dplyr, and the third one finally would be data table. So let me explain you the question again, what we're trying to do here. So if you look at CYL column, there are three unique values in CYL column, 6, 4 and 8. So for each value of these 6, 4 and 8, we are trying to sum their corresponding MPG. So sum all the MPG column where the cylinder value is 6. Second, sum all the MPG values where CYL column is 4. And similarly for 8. So here for base R technique, we can use aggregate here. So we will use the formula syntax here, which is MPG tilde and CYL, the data frame name, which is empty cast, and the function that we want to apply is sum. Right, so this returns us a 3-row data frame where unique values of CYL are in one column and the corresponding sum of MPG column is in another column. So now if you want to do the same thing in dplyr, the syntax would be empty cast group by CYL pipe summarize mpg equal to sum mpg. So this returns sum of mpg column for each CYL, which is similar to the aggregate function here. Now if you want to do the same operation in data table, let me just copy the empty cast data set in a temporary variable, let's say df. Df is actually of class data frame. So now to use data table, we need to convert it to data table. The easiest way is to use set dt function. Using set dt, we can convert a data frame to data table. Now we use sum mpg and the group name cyl. So you see that the numbers are same here as well. Now notice that the column name which we have got here is v1 and not mpg. So in data table, if you want to maintain the column name, you have to use the list notation, which is something like this with the dot symbol. So now you get mpg column name as it is. So these are three basic ways. Now what if you want to sum multiple columns for the same grouping variable? So let's say for the same grouping variable cyl, you want to sum mpg as well as hp column. How you can do that? So with aggregate, the syntax would be cbind mpg hp tilde the grouping variable, data frame, and the function that. So like this, using cbind, we mention that these are the two variables for which we want to take sum. So this returns a 3-row 3-column data frame where for each cyl value we take sum of mpg and hp column. Now for dplyr, we use the new across function first we group by CYL, summarize across MPG, HP, and now the function that we want to apply, which is sum, and run this. So it gives us the sum of MPG and HP column for each CYL. So to do this in data table, we can use sdcalls parameter by using sdcalls. We mentioned that these are the column names on which I want to apply some function for each CYL, and using lapply we apply that. So when you run this, you get these values. Okay, and notice how when we use sdcalls, it maintains the original column names MPG and HP, which was not the case earlier. Now two additional ways to do the same thing in base R would be, first would be tapply. So with tapply you get the same answer but in a different form, but still it does the same thing. Another option is by, where again we mention first the value which we want to take sum of, the index, the grouping variable, and the function, and you get the same values here as well. Notice that the output of tapply and by is not a data frame as we got from the aggregate function. There are also other functions which can help you do this, but I think this covers majority of it. I think the first three techniques which we learned, which was aggregate in base R or dplyr and data table, are more than enough to cover all the situations and various variation of these, but I'll still add a link of a Stack Overflow question on which this video and these answers are based on. Hope this was something interesting to learn, and if you have any feedback, please feel free to comment on the video. Thank you for watching. See you soon.